Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hera Media Group. My name is Laleh Hancock. I'm one of the advisors at Hera. And today I'd like to introduce you to Annie Goeke, one of our ambassadors at Hera. So, Annie, welcome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Lale. It's been, just such an honor to look into Hera and be part of it now. So, yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're so excited to bring you to the Hera family and to introduce you to the world. So, do you want to take just a couple minutes and give us a little bit of a background about Annie and
Oh,
where it all
mhm.
started?
Okay, all right. Well, as you can see, I'm an elder. I call myself an elder. I'm a grandma, actually. And so it's always very difficult to sort of put myself into a box of describing who am I and how did I come to be the person I am today. But I think it really started, when I was young. I was already an international person. I was born in France. My mom was American. I lived in England as well. So I was brought up in the three countries, um, England, France, and the United States. And so I always had this affinity of having that opportunity of knowing different cultures, different people, different languages, different foods, things like that. And then I left home early at the age of 16, and I became a student of life. And it was during those amazing years, what they call, the hippie times. And I lived on a kibbutz for a year. I lived in Israel for a year, and I think that was the first eye-opening to see how to live in an intentional community and how that works and how that can change the environment and people working together, and it's a sort of shared economy and that type of thing. And then from there I lived in Kenya, and that's where I fell in love with Africa, and had the most amazing time there. And it opened my eyes to the beautiful wilderness, the natural environment, and how indigenous people really flow with the natural systems of the environment and the wilderness. And so I was very lucky because I was able to see a time before we globalized the world. It was a time where there was very little fencing. The wilderness, the wildlife would come through the plantations. There were less roads. The Africans living in the villages were not having to rely so much on making money. So all of these wonderful ways of life and living that was happening in those years, I witnessed. And then over time, I lived in other places. I came back to the United States. I worked in the film industry and post production for a while, and lived in this New York City, this which I call the cement jungle. And I realized my heart wasn't there. I needed to go back to the land and back to the nature. And so I did everything and created a program with the United Nations and moved back to Kenya and worked with African women. I was really interested in seeing how their progress of development was happening. And with that, I learned a lot about how systems work and our how the progress, what we call the progress of today, was very destructive. And I saw the whole system of destroying ways of life, destroying the lands, a lot of injustice, especially against women, and tribes and others. And I just saw the sort of cycle of abuse happening through this
Yeah.
globalization where we were westernizing and creating capitalism in a way that just didn't fit in with the lifestyle and the way people were living previously. So with that, I became very knowledgeable and got to see how things change very, very rapidly. And I was very concerned. And so when I moved back to the States after I lived in Malaysia for a couple of years, and I also was witness to Southeast Asia in the boom time, I returned and I had heard about the Green movement and the Green Party. And it was just at the very beginning in the United States. And so I decided, okay, I need to do more than just being a witness. I need to get engaged. I need to roll up my sleeves. And that was the beginning of my activism. And so I got very engaged in so many different things, whether it was locally fighting a toxic waste site or a highway being built, to implementing butterfly gardens so that people become educated about the pesticides and herbicides that kill off the natural systems. And then got involved in creating, the Green Party of the United States. And with that, started to understand our political system here and the two-party system and just the sort of real inner workings of what happens and how politics can really direct things in a very negative way. So from there, I just started blossoming into other things, and I co-founded the Earth Rights Institute, which I can continue talking about many things, but I'll take a break here. Sorry, I just got on this whim of like, oh my God, where am I?
Well, I think that's one of the greatest gifts of anyone who actually engages with Hera is
Mhm.
that we're not one thing. You
Right.
know, we have had different exposures in our lives, whether it's from childhood or adulthood or all of the above. And that oneness of us is
Mm-hmm.
really what invites looking to possibilities and exploring things
Right.
for for our communities, for the world, and for our earth, because the earth is our home. I mean,
Right.
I think people keep forgetting that if
Mm-hmm.
there's no earth, there is no us.
Right.
And there is no easy way of saying it other than that.
Right.
So, like what you witnessed is something that most people don't have the awareness of. They
Right.
don't really know what's going on. So, I'm so grateful that you at a very young age were able to look beyond you and
Yes.
start to see where you
Mm-hmm.
can contribute and where you can, because a lot of times the world seems so big and people are like, oh, I'm so small, I can't make a difference, but you can. It's each of us
Yes.
taking one action, one step that actually invites a different possibility. So if you look at even, I love to know more about the Earth Rights Institute because I know it resonates so much to what I'm creating, what we're creating with Hera. Um, if you had, if you could just look back at your life, is there a moment or is there someone who said something, who inspired you, or was it nature maybe inspired you? What was it that
Mm-hmm.
inspired you to know that no matter what's going on around you, there's something else available? There is hope.
Yeah, I think I've been inspired by certain individuals who I've worked with, and just their persistence and their resistance and their vision, being able to visualize a better future and what is possible and being on that path. Wangari Maathai, who was one of the first African women to be given the Nobel Prize, was someone that I worked with. And just watching her and how she just would resist, well, she was beaten up a number of times and imprisoned, and but she just always continued, and she continued with this inner spirit of joy and beauty, and was someone who really understood how important it is that we reconnect, claim our roots and connection back to nature. So, a lot of people have labeled her like, oh, she's an environmentalist. No, she is way more than that. She was someone that really understood what was happening to the world and what was coming if we didn't start taking a change and turn in the systems. And so she was a system thinker, and she was able to see it holistically. And
Yeah.
she understood that the rights of nature is also so connected to the rights for women, and and the feminine principle, and conducting systems like shared economies and things like this are things that have been rejected, but she also understood, like many of us, that to build the movement, it has to be a grassroots movement, and that eventually there's going to be a tipping point that will start changing the pathway. And I really believe that it's already happening, and I see it happening with a lot of young people and people like myself and you that are all coming together, and we're a new wave of consciousness and vision, because it's bringing the sort of the sacred wisdom of indigenous peoples' understanding of our connection and how we can live in harmony with the world. But we're also have this technology and experience of being able to put the two together, the science and the knowledge, the indigenous natural knowledge, so that we can enhance and regenerate. And so, to me, what's coming now is very exciting in some ways, that it's this elevation of this incredible harmony of consciousness. And it's a love, to me, it's a love base. What Wangari Maathai did, and Vandana Shiva, and all of these amazing people out there that are making such a powerful impact on all of us, are like Jane Goodall and all this stuff. Their base, their inner self of love and joy and beauty, and seeing that and being the ones that have that vision. And that's where I feel like Hera is bringing that forward. It's bringing that love base to the forefront for people to. And I feel, as human beings on this planet, we're ready. We are ready to embrace that. And so what we're going through right now was something that we predicted, especially in the political world. When I was involved, we always talked about, well, this two-party system is going to bring a monster. Well, yeah, okay. We have somewhat of a real, understanding of the people who are trying to take control of the world and our resources and our democracy and freedoms and things like this. They have really surfaced. And in some ways, I feel like this is good, because now we know what it really is, who's who, and now we have to sort of reconstruct a new world for people to live in and to be engaged.
And what you're talking about, sometimes, it's unfortunate that we have to wake up in a certain way, like I'm not sure when we talk about the overall consciousness of what's available on the planet has
Mm,
existed ever before,
mhm.
and it's taken us to see destruction's not working, killing our plants, our trees, our livelihood, people's lives. It doesn't work,
Right.
I mean, you and I talked, I'm supposed to be in Dubai, and with everything that's going on in Dubai, it's not Dubai. I don't have a problem with Dubai. Dubai is great. Business is as usual there. They're
Mhm.
taking care of people. But even last week, there was missiles that were being shot.
Right.
Like that is not forward movement,
No.
If anything, it really is a bunch of children trying
Hmm.
to do that while
Right.
the rest of us adults are
Hmm.
really looking at what's required. And one of the things that I'm so excited about, I got invited by Marinella to be engaged with Hera 6 years ago, almost 7 years ago.
Hmm.
And from 5 minutes of talking to her, I knew all the ways that I travel around the world, empowering communities, empowering businesses, empowering individuals and families, military. It was as if like everything I had talked about, like now had a different voice.
Yeah. Hmm.
And Harris not meant to be in just one location. Harris City, we look forward to it being all around the world, but it is that invitation of us all coming together. It has nothing to do with your religion, has nothing to do with your background, your education. It's empowering each other to be the greatness that we each are
Right. Hmm.
and to know that there's an environment there to support you.
Right.
So, you recently joined Hera, and I'm curious for what you are aware of. Like, if you look out in 5 years,
Right.
what does Hera City look like for you, or even Hera itself as a holistic perspective? What does that look like for you?
Well, I think if we start to learn how to look through the lens, and I call it, for me, it's the ecofeminist lens, meaning that
Yeah.
you have an understanding of ecology, you have that feminine principle within you, that all of a sudden everything changes. You see everything very differently. You see it holistically. So a place that would be somewhat of a role model would be a city that's a livable city
Hmm.
that is bringing the well-being of the community, of the land. It's a shared economy where no one is left out and that people can uh, be participants and be taken care of and have their needs met. But at the same time, they're also engaged. It's a community that's engaged in enhancing and regenerating where they're living and understanding the cultural heritage and the environmental heritage of the life that of the place that they're living in. So it's, being globally conscious, meaning that you have you embrace the variety and the beauty of the diversity that exists, not only of the land and plants and animals, but of ourselves and our cultures and who we are. In a way, like it's just interesting because there's a few tiny examples. Well, there are examples everywhere that I feel like the global eco village network has got thousands of eco villages all over the world. I've been engaged with them for a very, very long time. My African partner, I was just in Senegal not too long ago, who has over 150 eco villages working together on the border of Senegal and Mauritania and Mali. The transformation that's going on there, not only environmentally, is it's incredible. I mean, they're building way more than a green wall. It's tying the community together of all their needs that they need to be there and live in a thriving place. But it's also threading peace. Like there hasn't been peace on that border for so long. So the work of regenerative systems and initiatives is a peace building system. So for me, Hera would be a place that would bring together people to create that regenerative way of living and having a better understanding of our bioregional systems and, you know, healing, repairing, restoring, and then at the same time, you know, in making it so that it can keep expanding itself, where others can come and learn the skills, have the tools, have the resources, and take it to other areas. So I just feel we have this opportunity with like the internet and social media that we can utilize these tools to accelerate what really works and what is positively impactful and what can bring us what we're all looking for, you know, because I think that we're born with wanting love. We're born with wanting to be healthy and connected. We want to be connected to the sky, the water, the land, the beach. You know, when people go far away to go and look at the ocean and be part of it. You know,
Yeah.
so it's yeah. So it's the time I think is, you know, is there's a great opportunity now that we have. And I do believe that it's going to be led mainly by women because our time, I believe, is it's our time. And that's why I feel like the lens I call it is the ecofeminist lens. It's like how do we nurture? How do we embrace each other, that type of thing. So I think that, you know, the Hura will be the example that can then be taken to other places and it has to be organic, meaning that we don't even know in 5 years time the you know exactly what it's going to be
Of
because
course.
there will be new energies, new people coming in with new innovative solutions, and we'll be taking those on. And I'm every day I learn of something new that's happening in the world that's beautiful and impactful and you know, whether it's a new water system, a new way of growing, a new plant that, well, a plant that's now being used for something, you know, like hemp, industrial hemp, you know, things, there are specific things that we have lost the knowledge of that could be, you know, saviors for us in our world. So
Yeah.
that's where I think
That's
it can
that's
go.
beautiful. That's beautiful. So, as we wrap up, I'm
Hmm.
curious, we have people from all ages that are going to be watching this.
Hmm.
Um, if someone doesn't know where to start,
Hmm.
what advice would you give the youth, women
Hmm.
around the world, or gentlemen around the world of like,
Hmm.
what's that first step when they have the desire for something, but just don't know where to go?
Go. I always say find out what is your passion. So,
Mm,
are you into health? Are you into the environment? Are you into growing things? Are you into creating and making things? And then start to learn about the regenerative way of thinking. So, let's say you're into fashion. You know, you want to create a fashion house or of sort. Well, for me, you know, regenerative system is upcycle. We don't need to, you know, we need to take what is take the stuff that shouldn't go into the landfill and utilize it and find systems of how to reuse something. So it's really about plugging yourself and educating about what you know what are the systems out there that are restoring, replenishing, reusing, recycling, you know, that we can use and implement that into what you're doing. So if it's about health, find, you know, learn about things that are natural ways of healing. in the sense of that, there's knowledge there. And today, there's a lot out there for people to work with. And then, very importantly, I think it's really important to connect with your community and be engaged with your community. So how can you be a positive, impactful citizen in your community? What are the things that you can do to help people? So it's learning about being the green-minded, thinking, let's see, person, and just connecting. Find out what's happening in your community. Who is engaged in climate change? Who is engaged in helping children and social justice and women's groups, and connect with them. And then from there, bring what your skills are, what your passions to, and join the movement. Join the communities that are making the changes that we need to make. And I really believe that we need to turn off the negative news. I mean, we need to know about what's going on, but we also need to start bringing this other energy of positive vision and ideas into the forefront. I feel there's a lot of fear right now that people are living in there, and we're being bombarded by very negative media and news. And so for me, it's like, okay, tune in with yourself, tune in with nature, go out, sit with a tree, or sit in a forest, or sit by the ocean, and find that balance, find that peace within yourself. And then you can start searching and reaching out to people that are doing amazing things, whether it's urban gardening, whatever it is. There's just the arts, but learn and connect, and know that the movement will embrace you if you join. And so there's a lot of places that one can go and get educated, and join the joy and the beauty, and walk in beauty. Say to yourself every day, I'm going to walk in beauty, and I'm going to find this path to where I believe my heart wants to be. I don't know if that answers very much, but
Well, that's beautiful. And yes to all of that. I think you and I have a lot more in common than I had originally realized. But it is like a lot of times we have no idea what's out there other than what we see in front of us. And sometimes, the media isn't willing to show you everything that's going on. And I think that's been one of the greatest gifts for me traveling around the world, is really being able to see what's really happening, not what media would like me to think is happening.
right.
And start to ask question, what else is possible? Who can I talk to? And like you said, like we have this beautiful eco resort in Costa Rica, and we were always looking at doing things different with the earth. We did not destroy the earth. We haven't cut one tree. We didn't level any of the land. And one of the things we realized, even our sewer system is plant-based. But we wouldn't have known about that if we
Right.
didn't start exploring what's out there that we
Right.
haven't considered yet. We take heat. It's hot in Costa Rica. Take the heat out of the air, and that becomes our hot water system. These things are natural. And
Yeah.
but yet we tend to go to what we've seen in our own household. So
Right.
we don't realize these things are available. So again, it's the willingness to, like you said, start from within first. And from there, each one of us has so many different gifts. And which one of your gifts can you contribute today? Maybe it's 10 of them, maybe it's one of them, but
Right.
we can each make a difference. And by smiling, by saying hello to someone, that itself shifts so many things. So it's not all about money. It's not all about, I have to go be, do something that's like, this big thing, but
Mhm.
where can you start? So you start to create those milestones to create something
Exactly.
different.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you can get locally involved, even
Yeah.
if it's, whether it's on a school board or something where you roll up your sleeves into action, because I believe that, people can have a lot of visions, but it's really important to also take that action. So whether it's you go out and join the tree planting group,
Yeah.
or clean up the parks or the beaches, but having doing those types of things changes you, when because all of a sudden you go, oh my God, this cleaning the beach today, and what we did, and the people that came together, and the joy and doing it and making that difference transforms you. And
Yeah.
that's where I think that, it's really important that, people do know how, as you said, as little, it could be as small as anything, like, helping somebody across the street, or going to the senior center, or whatever. But it brings you, there's reward with that, and that reward is priceless. And that's how I've been living my life, is having the journey that I've taken. I am so blessed, because I've met so many amazing people, and just having that connection with people, and doing things, and participating in things that really have brought, a lot of joy, and just made me realize that's the thing to strive for. That's the thing that enriches your life, and knowing that you're part of that. So I'm excited with Hera, because I just feel the people and engaged that I've met so far, there's a lot that we can all do together, but it's also this synergy that we're creating, because each of us brings a powerful background of experiences and journeys, and knowledge and things like this. And so it's the circle of the council of, you know amazing, and in particular women, engaged, with this, and bringing our visions together. That's what it's going to take, and that's what's going to dissolve the fear, dissolve the greed, and the destructive systems, and so it's just, so yes, we're doing it, each of us.
Thank you so much, Annie. It was such a pleasure to have you here and to be able to share your vision, but also all the great experiences you've had with everyone out there. And you guys, if you have any questions, you can also
Mhm.
go to harriscity.org. And we look forward to meeting you guys. Please give
Mhm.
us feedback wherever you see
Right.
this video.
Mhm.
And yeah, what else
Yeah,
can we
and
create
I'm
together?
always open for people to contact me, as because I've been a political activist as well, and one of the founders of the Global Greens, which is all the green parties around the world. And others. And the Regenerative movement. I have connections in almost every country, and I'm more than happy to make those connections for anybody who wants to engage in any of these areas. I'm open. I'm an open book to connect with, and I'm always happy to consult and advise, or make that introductions. That makes the difference.
Amazing. And Annie's contact
Mhm.
information will be below so that you guys have access to that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so
All
much,
right,
Annie. Wishing
Laleh.
you well. Thank you,
Laleh,
everyone.
and I look forward to meeting you in person one day. And thank you
Me
for doing this.
too. Me too. Me too. Me too. Thanks, everyone.